Alright, well, so another YouTube video. Welcome back. This is going to be on Instagram Reels marketing for OnlyFans models in 2024, of course. Me personally, I've been doing Instagram Reels for quite a while now. Probably around 6 months is one of my top traffic sources. I do have quite a lot of experience. I say 6 months as in like my top, like main one. I've been doing it for much longer than that, obviously. But the first thing is age the account or create the account yourself. Now a lot of people, like a lot of beginners especially, they kind of question this way too much, take too much time, trying to find an answer for this. It's very simple, you can do either. So, aged account, obviously get a US or UK aged account, or if you create yourself, make sure you're basically in UK or US, if not, use a VPN. But, personally, creating an account, in my opinion, is better. I'm warming up, however, that doesn't mean that aged account doesn't work. Just from my experience recently, accounts kind of get views quicker, or more views quicker, when you create yourself. Now, obviously, with that being said, it is better to get an aged US email as well, or UK email. Now, next thing is warming up the account. So warming up the account, it kind of depends on whether you're creating it yourself or have an aged account. If it's an aged account, all you really need to do is log in. Don't do anything for 24 hours, and then you're basically good to go. It's already an aged account, just kind of let Instagram know that you've logged in on a new device and a new location. So don't like start spam posting straight away. As soon as you get the account, just wait a bit and you're good to go. Now, creating yourself is a bit different. It's a bit longer process, but like I said, in my opinion, this does work a little bit better. Minimum, I'd say about 3 to 7 days as a warm-up process. Obviously, if you don't warm up for that long, it doesn't mean you're not gonna get views. I feel like one thing that not a lot of people make very clear is just because you don't warm something like an account up, it doesn't mean that the account is, never gonna get views, never gonna work, all that stuff. It's just better to warm it up, overall, for the account to start doing better quicker, right? So in this warm up process, when you're creating the account, you want to post one normal post, like normal picture per day. So you don't, you can obviously add a profile picture, but you don't want to like put the link in the bio, no reels, no story, stuff like that. Literally just one post per day after, making the username profile picture. One post per day, very simple. I personally recommend minimum 3 days, but like I said, if you do it for 2, if you do it for 1 even, it doesn't mean the account is not going to work. Okay. Next thing is VPN. Now I put VPN, I didn't mention proxy or anything like that here because proxies aren't really needed for Instagram. VPNs in my experience work better for Instagram. I also said only use it if you're not in the US or UK. The reason for that is because whether you live in the US or you live in the UK, both of those places can target pretty much anywhere. Like if you live in the UK, you can target people from US. If you live in the US, you can target from UK. Another thing that I feel like a lot of people don't say, like other people, like other YouTubers that do talk about OFM, or a lot of people don't even know, is, and this goes for TikTok too, just because you're in a certain location doesn't mean your videos won't get pushed out to that area. Of course, if you live in India, you're gonna get a lot of Indian followers and a lot of Indian viewers on your reels. But if you live in the UK or US, it's completely fine not to use a VPN. But if you do live somewhere else, then it is better to use a VPN in my opinion. Now, profile picture and bio, all that stuff. So I've actually got an example. So I'll open it here. As you can see, it's very simple. This is kind of what I recommend going for all the time. It's just a very simple bio. It's a very simple page, sorry. Obviously, this can kind of depend on the niche that you're going for, but overall, it is better to keep it simple, right? So profile picture should be basically just showing her face or showing her face and a bit of her chest. Username, of course, you want to keep the username simple. Don't make it like LE123452000 2001, something like that. Of course, username here, is just her name with a little emoji. Bio, bio you can make it like her age, location. So for example, 18, New York, and then you can put something like that, or you don't even have to put something like this. A lot of my accounts I don't actually mention like a link, because a lot of the time if you check the account status, the bio will get flagged if you put something like this. So Obviously, depending on whether you use something that doesn't get flagged or not, it's good to not use it sometimes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, link in the bio. I personally, at the moment, use Get All My Links. It's basically a website, you know, similar to like all these other websites that you can use. But the reason why I like it is because, obviously, you know, Get All My Links, simple name, but when someone clicks on it, it takes them straight to OF, but you can't really get banned because obviously, you know, it's a different website, different domain than OF. It's not technically actually OF, it just links you to the OF straight away, right? Now, highlights. This is another thing that I do think is quite important, and you'll definitely get a lot of subs if you do this, and if you don't do it, you'll probably miss out on a few extra subs. So usually I do a few more than these, like depending on the niche once again. But I do like a spicy link one like this, where obviously, you know, it mentions a spicy link to the OF. One like this where it's like me basically showing selfies of her. And then again, the other ones would kind of depend on the niche. So, you know, you could do something like gym. We could even do like just normal activity, like day-to-day stuff. So, for example, if she's going out to a restaurant, you know, there could be a highlight for food, or there can be a highlight of her just doing stuff, you know, day-to-day stuff, you know, stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, I do recommend keeping it very simple, something like this, obviously. Once again, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but once again, keeping it simple is the best option. Now, the next thing that a lot of people don't know like what to do about is whether you should buy followers or not. My opinion on buying followers is not needed, but if you're going to buy them, don't buy too many, right? Because there's kind of two ways to look at it. If you have 0 followers and you get, let's say, 2K views on your very first video, a few of those people won't even follow the account because they're going to think, oh, she's got 1 follower or 0 followers, and you know, it looks like a bot account. You know, there's no other like reels, there's no followers on the page, no one following her, stuff like that, and they're going to think it's a bit weird. But at the same time, if you buy too many followers, a lot of obviously OF subscribers, they basically subscribe to OF models because they think they have a chance with her, they want to date her, you know, stuff like that. So buying too many followers is not good, but then at the same time, if you don't buy any, then you might actually miss out on gaining some subs or getting some followers at the start, and it might take longer to grow the account. So there's kind of two ways to look at it. Personally, like I said, I don't really buy followers that often, but if I was to buy followers, then I would buy like 500, 1K, and that's it. Now the next thing is feed. So basically, you know, the page, the Instagram page, we should have on it. So what I recommend doing is having 3 pinned posts, right? Now on the 3 pinned posts, what you want to do is have 1 picture, and by the way, this does once again depending on the niche, on what you want to do exactly. Depends on what her body looks like, stuff like that. But overall, what you want to do mainly is 1 picture showing her face, 1 picture kind of showing mainly her boobs. Obviously, still show her face if you can, but you know, kind of more targeting the boobs, and another picture targeting her ass. Those are 3 pictures you want to pin. That's what I recommend doing, because then that way, people can then kind of see what her face looks like clearly, what her body looks like clearly, and you know, it'll probably get them interested, right? And I'll put around 12 plus pics. So of course, the more the better. You know, if you've got 20 or 30, that's even better because the account will look nicer. It looks like she's, you know, making more posts. But around 12 pictures is either kind of the minimum I'd recommend doing, because if you've only got those 3 pin pictures and nothing else, once again, people look at the account sometimes and think, you know, there's not much on the account, not much going on, might be a bot, or they're just not too interested because they're not seeing much of her, right? Now, one thing I didn't mention here is highlights, but of course, like I said, you know, make sure to have some highlights showing more of her as well, you know, showing the link, all that stuff, to get them more interested. You know, these little things on IG do actually matter. A lot of people think, you know, doing these things don't matter, blah, 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 but it does actually matter. And another thing I didn't mention on here is story. So stories, you gotta be posting them daily. I would recommend doing at least like 2 or 3 daily. Now, what the story should be is 1, an OF link. 1 of them should be an OF link. 1 of them should be like you reposting the reel onto a story. So depending on how many you post per day, it should be around 1 or 2 of reposting the reels per day. Because a lot of people don't know this, and I really mean not a lot, like not a lot at all. I've not seen anyone mention this, but whenever you repost a reel to your story, every viewer on that story counts as a view on the reel, right? So even if they don't click on the actual reel and like it and interact with it, anything like that, let's say you get 500 story views a day, every 24 hours. If you repost that reel onto the story, those 500 viewers will count as a view, and whether they interact with it or not, it'll still get pushed out more organically because of the fact that you just put it on the story. So that's why I recommend doing it. A lot of people don't really repost the story, I mean the reel, sorry, but that's why I recommend doing it. And the last story should kind of just be just a simple story, simple selfie or picture of a body, anything like that, right? Because one thing that a lot of people don't really realize with stories is they can be the reason why someone subscribes to you. Because let's say someone's been following you for 2 months even, and they've still not subscribed to your page, but that story, you might catch them at the right time. You know, they might be in bed late at night and they see your story and be like, you know what, I might as well subscribe to her. So that's why posting stories every day is very, very important in my opinion, because you are going to be missing out on quite a lot of subs in my opinion if you don't post stories every day. Okay. Now, after the warm-up is actually done, I kind of skipped forward a little bit, but going back to the warm-up, after the warm-up is done, you should be posting 1 to 2 reels per day, every 12 or 24 hours. And what I currently do is 2 posts a day, every 12 hours on every account. You know, simple as that. Now hashtags and captions. So this is another thing that I think so many people, you know, kind of try to figure out what works or what doesn't work. Captions can be important. They can catch more people's attention, and it can also lead to more organic growth, because if people read your caption, it will count as a rewatching the reel, right? So if they're sat there watching reading the caption for, let's say, 20 seconds, but then the video is like 8 seconds, for example, that will then count as them basically rewatching it twice, or even 3 times. So that's why, you know, if you are good with creativity and good at making captions that can catch people's attention, and do it. Or you can make captions where it's something like, did you see what I did at the end? And then obviously people will watch it to the end to see what you did, whether you actually did something crazy or not. I do captions like quite often. I think that works quite well. But hashtags on the other side, they really don't matter at all in my opinion. Of course, you know, using hashtags don't really hurt the account unless you use hashtags that are saturated by basically OF, like an 18+ porn industry, which is like hashtag OnlyFans, hashtag OF, hashtag OF girl, you know, stuff like that. Don't use hashtags like that. Use hashtags in your niche. So, you know, if she's like a brunette that goes to gym, just use hashtag brunette, hashtag gym, hashtag dancing, whatever she's doing in the video. But like I said, hashtags don't really make a difference. You know, you're not gonna go viral just because you're using hashtags, right? That's not how it works at all. But obviously, like I said, you can use them if you want. It might push the video out a little bit more, but it will make a massive difference if you actually notice, in my opinion. Text on the screen. Now, for those that actually experience with OFM or with IG Reel marketing for models, you might see that some accounts, this is one thing that I've been testing recently, is certain accounts make content only with text on the screen, right? Now this can be a topic for, you know, a whole hour really, because it's, you know, it comes again to kind of with the caption, with the creativity about, you know, how you can get people to engage with the text on the screen, stuff like that. The text on the screen overall kind of matters on whether the actual trend that you're recreating is, you know, required to have text on the screen. But back to what I was saying about accounts that only have text on the screen. There can be a lot of things that can be used as text on the screen, no matter what the video is. One example I remember I saw the other day that was going viral consistently was a page that was just reposting the same content, basically, like similar content of the model. And there's just text on the screen saying like, whoever comments the word, or like the emoji, the peach emoji, will get a picture in DM, right? And obviously a lot of people that see that will then comment peach emoji, or check her page or follow her, you know, stuff like that. With this, like I said, it kind of does depend on your creativity, because if you're gonna make videos saying, comment the word ass and I'll send you a picture in DM, that's obviously not gonna work that well. you do need to kind of be creative with it, get people to actually engage, get people to interact with the video, or rewatch it, things like that, right? So it kind of does depend. If you guys want me to make a full video talking about this exact strategy, let me know. Or just DM me on IG or on Telegram or on Discord, wherever. It's also in my private group. There's a big update coming to my private group, which I forgot to mention. I started this video, but that's something I'm working on, and a lot of it's going to be about IG, because IG has changed quite a lot, to be fair, recently. And like I said, I do use it as one of my top traffic sources, so I kind of know what's up to date and what's working and what's not working, stuff like that. But anyway, what videos to make and niche. So this again really depends on what your niche is, or what your model at least looks like what a body looks like, stuff like that. Because with IG you can kind of go two ways about it, like main two ways. Obviously there's so many things you can do, but the two main ways sort of is either just targeting a certain body type, like let's say her boobs, and just utilizing that to get views, like just, you know, videos showing her boobs off, because obviously IG is a lot more lenient towards videos like that compared to TikTok. Or you can go for an actual niche, like for example an office girl, and just make videos more towards that, and obviously still focus on, you know, showing her body, but it's a little bit different, if that makes sense. So now if you're focusing just on body, of course, you know, whether it's boobs or ass, wherever it may be, or showing underwear, that's one that's very good. If your model is willing to make TikToks like that, or like reels like that, where, you know, she, for example, falls over onto the bed and then shows under her skirt, you know, videos like that do very well. Of course, if you do check the account status, which is very important, by the way, check that every day. If you do check the account status, you will probably see that a lot of videos get flagged for that, but not all will, and it is worth doing that in my opinion. But back to what I was saying, videos like that are worth doing if you can't really pick the exact niche, or can't find a niche that works well for this model. Then obviously the other thing you can do is just pick a niche, like an office niche, and just go with those type of videos. With those type of videos, you still obviously want to show her body, like I was saying, but it is a little bit different. You know, when you're just showing the body, it is not exactly a complete niche. It's more just targeting a body. But yeah, and obviously, you know, with this being said, there are obviously trends that you can follow, you can recreate. You know, you can find them yourself through IG. You can find them on in Telegram groups that share trending reels, stuff like that. So it kind of really depends on how you want to find them. Personally, the best way to find it, in my opinion, is just set up a bait page, or set up a page where you just follow a bunch of girls in that niche, or the niche you want to go for, or just OF girls in general, and then you'll be able to see a bunch of OF content. And then from there, you can kind of pick out what you think will work for your model, right? Now, how the algorithm works, what to focus on when making the reels as a model. So this kind of goes towards what I was saying about the topic about what videos to make. So how algorithm works, you know, kind of main things to think about when making videos is, number one, quality has to be good, lighting has to be good, background has to be good, and the other things are kind of just getting the viewers to actually interact or to rewatch, right? Rewatch is one of the top things that are very important. When a lot of people rewatch, it does get pushed out a lot more. But of course, if there's just a like, a comment, stuff like that, they'll still get pushed out. Because let's say you get 500 views within the first hour, for example, but only 10 people from those 500 will like it and not comment, not rewatch it, not many of them rewatch it, then it won't really get pushed out as much. But if there's 500 people, for example, 100 of those people liked it, 20 commented, and like 30 or 40 or 50 rewatched it, or even maybe rewatched it multiple times, then they'll get pushed out a lot more and start growing a lot quicker, right? That's basically how the algorithm works. And that's kind of what you want to focus on with your videos. So what I usually recommend doing, well, you know, obviously it depends on the trend, depends what the actual video is, but what I recommend doing is either one, do something at the start of the video, like showing a certain part of a body at the start of the video to actually, you know, catch their eye, get them watching. And then number two is do something at the end of the video to catch their eye, to make them rewatch it. Or you can do both, obviously, right? Like you can do something at the start, you can do something at the end. to get them to rewatch it and, you know, maybe pause it, maybe like it, maybe comment, whatever it may be. Then what to focus on when making the reels as a model. Like I said, quality of the actual video is very important, so make sure you're recording in like 2K 60 FPS or at least 1080p 60 FPS. And the other things are obviously lighting and the background. So background is very, very important. That's one thing I noticed with IG Reels recently, is the background is one of the most important things in my opinion. If you have a bad background, it's going to be very hard for you to go viral. Of course, you might get 20, 30, 50k, 100k views. If you want to really consistently get that, you know, 100k plus views, you do need to have a good background. At least in my opinion, from my experience, you do need to. Because you know, if you're just sat in your bedroom, you've not even, if a model is sat in a bedroom, not, you know, even like made a bed, the lighting is not very nice. It's like the yellow light's not a ring light, stuff like that. Then a lot more people just kind of look at it and think, okay, this video is not very good. Even if they do watch the video to the end, they're not going to actually interact with it just because it's not that interesting, or they might just skip it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, new update. I know a lot of people probably that are watching this, whether you know who I am or you're just looking for tips on YouTube for OFM. I know a lot of people are watching this video for this reason. That's the new update on IG, reposting content on multiple accounts, like what to do about that. A lot of people were kind of scared about the situation. Of course, I don't really see a lot of people really complaining about it, because I think most people do know by now, as it has been, I don't know, maybe like a month, maybe a bit longer since the update. But yeah, so what to do about this new update? So obviously, the new update is basically where they're not allowing people to repost the same content on multiple accounts. Now, obviously, a lot of people that did use, like, for example, Bay pages as a traffic source, or used, you know, multiple accounts as a traffic source, or multiple IG accounts, you know, this kind of did mess them up. Of course, you know, the first few days was kind of like, you know, slowed down the traffic. You know, people didn't know what to do. A lot of people thought, you know, it's the end of Bay pages, the end of all these things. But it's actually not the case. So old content that was reposted, that will slow down, like 100%. That will most likely slow down. However, the accounts don't die just because old videos got reposted. Now, what you can do is basically use CapCut and repurpose. So if you do OFM already, or you've been doing OFM for a while, and you might know about TikTok repurposing, like around a year ago, this used to work on TikTok. Best way to put it, for those that know what OFM is, or sorry, do have experience with OFM for like at least 6+ months, is IG is basically like the old TikTok, where you could repurpose content on TikTok and they'll, you know, still do well. It's pretty much how it works. Is you have to download CapCut. I'm sure most of you listening know what CapCut is by now. And pretty much whatever video your model sends you, you have to then use CapCut and repurpose it. So when I say repurpose, I mean mirror the video. It's a function on CapCut. You'll find that it's called mirroring or mirror. You want to change the saturation a little bit, and you can even delete a few, like 0.1 seconds of the video. So you can delete the first like 0.1 seconds at the start and another 0.1 at the end. And you want to basically keep doing this for every single you know, video you repurpose. Now, of course, you know, doing this over and over for, let's say you're handling 20 accounts, it's going to take a while. And that's the next topic I want to talk about, is scaling, VAs, and the process of it, and the equipment your VAs are going to need. So the equipment, I'll start with the equipment because I think this is like the shortest topic. It's very simple, pretty much what I talked about earlier here before. They're going to need an aged account, obviously, or create it themselves and warm it up, blah, blah, blah. Going to need to give them a VPN that works, and basically tell them to use it on the US only, never log in without the VPN. You know, especially, you know, most VAs aren't in the US or in the UK, so you're going to need to make sure they do that. And of course, they need a phone, right? A decent phone, at least like an iPhone X. Now, you can do IG Reels on the Samsung. Personally, in my experience, on iPhone, my accounts do seem to do better. But once again, with like a lot of other things that I mentioned in this video, it doesn't mean that you won't get views just because you're on Samsung, right? Like, you can obviously use Samsung. You can even use App Cloner and manage, you know, way more accounts than just one phone than you usually would be able to. But in my opinion, overall, iPhone is better. But once again, it's really up to them, or up to you, sorry. And you know what your budget is, stuff like that. But that's pretty much it for equipment, really. They don't need anything else. Obviously, if they're not trained, make sure they're training properly. Make sure they actually know what they're doing. If you have a bad team, get good results with IG Reels. Whether you've got 10 accounts or 50 accounts or 100 accounts, if your team doesn't know what they're doing, you probably won't get good results. Right? Now, the process and, kind of setting up your team, it is also, once again, very simple in my opinion for IG. But of course, it can take time to train a lot of VAs, right? So finding VAs, you can find them in places like Upwork. You can even find some that already have experience with it. Now, what I like to do is to basically set up a group chat on Telegram, called, for example, Instagram team for a certain model, and then you basically add all those people into there. Then you make, categories inside that group, and there will be one saying models reels, where you send the reels of the model. There'll be another one that says, for example, VPN, where you show what VPN to use. All these things, right? I'm not going to say every single one, because pretty much you want to make channels for every single process of A to Z of, starting the Instagram account to posting the reels and the stories and that stuff, right? So if you've actually watched this video and you've not skipped it, you basically want to tell them to do what I said in this YouTube video, but obviously in a more in-depth way, right? So with that, after you make that channel, after you got your VAs, they're pretty much good to go. What you want to do is obviously kind of trial them, see how they're actually doing the first few days, help them out, be active, make sure they actually know what they're doing, make sure they're understanding what they're doing, make sure they're actually doing the work. Once they got the work, once they get to work, once they understand how to repurpose content on CapCut, let's say you've got 5 VAs all handling like 2 accounts each or 3 accounts each, then you're already pretty much scaling than what you used to be before, right? So even if it's only 15 accounts, that's still better than if you yourself were managing 3 or 4, right? Obviously, the more accounts you can want to scale to per model, the more VAs you're going to need. Personally, I'd say, depending on how many hours the VA can work, they can handle anywhere from like 2 or 3 all the way up to like 10 plus. Posting reels every day doesn't take long, especially if it's just one account. That literally takes less than 30 minutes. Obviously, with CapCut, it does. That's the reason kind of why it takes like 20 minutes now. For a VA, obviously they're a bit slower than like people from the UK or US. Sorry to any VAs that are watching, but yeah. So, like I said, I think 10 accounts max is not max, but that's kind of like around how many I tend to see most VAs be able to handle at most. Only because obviously now with CapCut being, part of IG, it does take a lot longer than before. Before you could actually probably do like 10 IG accounts within like, I'd say probably an hour, even maybe like an hour and a half. As for a VA, maybe max 2 hours. But even a VA, obviously you want a VA that actually works hard, is quick, gets the stuff done. You can't just have a lazy and slow VA. So I'd say around 2 hours for 10 accounts. That's how much it used to take. But now, with CapCut being into it, every video you have to do it for. I'd say probably around 4 hours, with maybe 3, for a VA. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Before I end the video, I do have a private group. I do have a free group. It will all be linked in the description if you want to check that out. Make sure to check the description. If you have any ideas for next videos you want me to make, let me know as well in the comments. I'll definitely check them out. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.